This is The Unhurried Mama, a space for mothers who are tired of holding it together and ready to actually land. I'm Michelle, and I'm a mom, a writer, but not an expert. I'm here as someone still figuring this out, doing it my way, and refusing to pretend it's perfect. Every week, we sit together and untangle one piece of the parenting knot. No tips or fixes, I promise. Just the mess, the science, and the path back to you. So pour yourself some coffee or tea, close the door, and let's begin right where we are. Last week, I told you about a Wednesday afternoon, a hallway, and a daughter who walked it 3 times, and showed up the next day to confess what she had been up to. She arrived at it on her own and handed it to me like something she had made herself. I've been thinking about that ever since. Not about the math or screen time, but about what it means that she could just do that. An unforced, unflinching honesty, like it had always been in her, and she'd never once been given a reason to doubt it. Where does that come from? I want to take you back 2 years, because that's where the answer lives. But first, if you're new here, welcome. There's one thing that everything I do points toward, and this episode won't make sense without it. Children are born knowing how to live. We're the ones who forgot. And the work, all of it, every episode, everything, is remembering. Unhurried doesn't mean slow. It never did. Unhurried is what it feels like to move at a rhythm that actually belongs to you. Not one you borrowed or inherited, and not one you inhabited so long you eventually stopped questioning whether it was ever yours to begin with. That's what we're here for today. And my daughter, at 9 years old, is going to show us exactly what it looks like when it's still intact. It was an ordinary afternoon. Nothing circled on the calendar, no particular reason for anything to go sideways. A regular home learning day, and me in the kitchen, fiddling on my phone with a list in my head that had absolutely no interest in ending. Reschedule the kids' dentist appointments, call the bank about the mortgage renewal, follow up with trade show customers from last weekend, make dinner reservations for tomorrow night. Don't forget to submit the substitution request for the produce box before the deadline. The produce box. I was stressed about the produce box. And underneath all of it, quieter than the list, but louder than everything else, the voice that never actually shuts off. What have you actually done today? What do you have to show for yourself? The kids were supposed to be writing a summary of what we had learned about eagles. Instead, they were poking each other, play fighting, dawdling. At one point, they were playing thumb war, fully committed, completely unbothered and alive, and blissfully unaware that their mother was coming apart at the seams 10 feet away. And here's what I've had to sit with since. They were doing exactly what I was trying to learn how to do, moving at their own pace, following what their bodies actually needed in that moment, which was play and silliness and a thumb war, not a summary about eagles. Their native frequency, wholly intact. But my conditioning did not read it that way. What it read was, they're wasting time. Why aren't they just getting it done, crossing it off the list, and moving on? The pressure in my chest wasn't really about the eagles. It was about the belief underneath everything that if things weren't moving, if we weren't producing, if I couldn't point to what we had accomplished, then I was wrong. Not the plan, not the schedule. Me. I heard my voice get shorter, edgier. I started reading my to-do list out loud, like saying the words would somehow make me feel more justified, more legitimate, more like a person with valid reasons to be this wound up. My breath went choppy. Go, give more, do more. And that voice, old and relentless, and so familiar, I had stopped hearing it as a choice. What do you have to show for yourself? And then my 9-year-old appeared. She walked over, and without asking or hesitating, without waiting for an invitation she had already decided she didn't need, took my arms in both her hands and looked at me. I want to try to describe that face. I've never been able to shake it. She was wise in a way that had nothing to do with years. Calm in a way she wasn't trying to be. And I don't know how else to say this. She felt ancient, like something much older had borrowed her face for a moment, and she was looking out through her eyes. She was serious, but there was the softest curl at the edges of her lips, and not quite a smile. More like certainty. The look of someone who has been looking for you for a while and already knew she'd find you. Her eyes weren't looking for the frantic version of me, not the one who makes lists, who forgets to breathe, and is always trying to prove her worth. She was looking past all of that, looking for the person who lived underneath. I know you're in there. She said, Mama. One word, with a pause long enough after it that I had to stop. Had to actually look at her. Had to be, for just 1 second, present. It's okay. Just take a deep breath. And she led me through one, slow and deliberate, in through the nose, out through the mouth, watching me until I followed. We breathed together. Something let go in my shoulders. The involuntary kind of release your body does when it finally gets permission to put something down. The tightness in my chest loosened ever so slightly, like a knot with one thread pulled free. And then she hugged me, tender and sure, and said, It's going to be okay, Mama. With my hand in hers, she walked me to the couch. I want to tell you what that felt like, because I think it's the part not a lot of people talk about. What actually lives on the other side of the invitation to stop. The couch felt like permission, so soft and wide and patient, like it had been there the whole time and I just kept walking past it. She sat beside me, held my hand, leaned her head against my shoulder, and was quiet. She didn't explain anything, fix anything, or hurry me through it. She just stayed. And my mind immediately started fighting. Get up. You have things to do. This is self-indulgent. You're wasting time. Do you have any idea how much is still on that list? I wanted to get up. Every part of me was pulling toward the list, toward the motion, toward the proof that I was doing something, being something, earning my place in my own afternoon. Sitting still felt wrong. Wrong like wearing someone else's clothes. Like I'd been wearing them so long, I couldn't remember what mine felt like. Because what I hadn't understood yet was that I didn't know how to be still. I genuinely, truly did not know how. The stillness felt foreign because it was foreign. I had spent so long running at someone else's rhythm that my own felt like trespassing. A few beats passed. Maybe 4, maybe 10. And then, without deciding to, I stopped tensing my body. But not all at once. My shoulders dropped first, and then I unclenched my jaw. Finally, my neck slowly let go of that stiff, bracing for impact feeling. My daughter's head was warm against my shoulder. Her hand was still in mine. And that voice, not gone, but quieter, had receded just enough that I could hear something different. Something that had been there the whole time, waiting for 1 minute of silence to make itself known. Yes, like this, it said. It felt something like peace, but more raw than that. Like the first breath you take after a long time underwater, feeling the shock before the relief. Here's the part I almost didn't tell you. Back in the kitchen, before she walked me to the couch, for a split second, I wanted to resist her. I felt it, this pull to stay in the revved up state, to gently extract myself, say, I'm fine, I just need to finish this, and get back to the list, back to the motion, and back to the proof. Because that's what it was, if I'm honest. The hurry wasn't about the to-do list. It was about what the to-do list meant. If I was moving, I was doing something. And if I was doing something, I was being responsible. If I was being responsible, I was worthy of love, of care, of belonging, of taking up space in my own life. Stopping felt like evidence of the opposite. Maybe for you it's not guilt. Maybe it's fear. The dread of falling behind, of being found out, of the whole careful structure coming apart the moment you stop holding it together. Maybe it's something that looks more like need. The ache of wanting someone to finally say, you've done enough, and actually mean it. Whatever lives underneath the motion itself is doing the same job. Evidence. I am here. I am working. I exist. And my 9-year-old held me, gently, quietly, with complete and utter kindness, and refused to let me disappear back into it. She disarmed me, and I let her. I've thought about that moment so much since then, about her just knowing, the way she knew exactly what I needed and walked toward me without hesitation. How did she know how to do that? I've been in therapy. I've done the nervous system work, the somatic practices, the reading and the studying, and the years of slowly, painstakingly learning to listen to my own body. And this child, who has never read a parenting book in her life, who does not have a podcast about nervous system health, who was supposed to be writing about eagles 20 minutes ago, simply walked up and did it. Like breathing, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Because it was. She knew how to do that because she hasn't forgotten yet. Children are born unhurried, born sovereign, living in their own current, connected to their own knowing, moving at a pace that actually belongs to them, before the world gets its hands on them and starts telling them what they should feel and how fast they should move and what they need to do to earn their place in the room. They just know. They know when something is off. They know what's needed. They know how to offer it. That knowing isn't something we install in them. It's something we either protect or erode. And I want to be careful here because I know what some of you are thinking, because I thought it too. But my child is not calm. My child has been at full volume since approximately 6 a.m. and is currently I don't know, probably climbing something. I know, not every kid is a little Zen master waiting serenely in the kitchen to regulate their mother's nervous system. You're right. Some children's innate pace is fast, initiating, driving, full of energy that wants to move and create and launch itself off the furniture. Some are slow and receptive and need time to unfold, like they're on a different clock entirely and they're the only ones keeping the right time. Others ride emotional waves that are big and dramatic and completely, utterly real. And sometimes it's all three in a single day. The hurricane at breakfast is the one in your lap by 3 o'clock, her hand in yours, completely still. The one who launched himself off the couch cushions an hour ago is now crouched over a beetle on the sidewalk, like it's the only thing that has ever mattered. And honestly, maybe it is. That's just a child who hasn't been told yet that they have to pick one. None of that is hurry. Hurry isn't about how fast a child moves, or how big their feelings are, or how much space they take up. Hurry is what happens when that signal gets overwritten. When the fast child is told she's too much and learns, slowly, to apologize for her own aliveness. When the slow child is rushed through every morning until he's running on someone else's cortisol instead of his own rhythm. When the emotional child is taught that her waves are inconvenient, that she is inconvenient, and learns to flatten them into something more manageable, more palatable, more acceptable to the room. When any child absorbs the message that who they are at their own natural pace is not quite right. That's the wound. My daughter in that kitchen was not pretending to be a calm child. She was not doing something she had been taught or coached or praised into. She was living in her own knowing, and her knowing said, Mama needs to come back to herself, and I can help with that. She wasn't a project for me to work on. She was my proof. She was 9, and she was right. And if all this feels further away than that, if there's been real hurt, or distance, or years of the wrong message landing louder than the right one, I see you. I'm not going to tell you this episode is your whole answer. But I don't want you to leave either, because nothing I just said stops being true for you. It just means the excavation goes a little deeper, and that's okay. And if your child is at a different age, if the world has already had its hands on them for a while, I just want to say this, and I want you to actually let it land. It's not gone. It doesn't get erased. It gets talked over, buried under layers of be good and hurry up and what's wrong with you? But it's still beneath it all, waiting, the same way mine was buried, but still in there, when my 9-year-old came looking for it. If she could find it in me, it's in there, in you, in them. She wasn't looking for someone new. She was looking for someone she already knew. What I need you to hear, really hear, is this. You were sovereign once too. I know because I was. There is a girl I want you to meet. Her parents owned a printing business, and on Saturdays, when they worked overtime, she had the house entirely to herself. There were assignments waiting, studying that needed doing, a responsible, respectable list of things she was supposed to accomplish before her parents got home. She did none of it. Instead, she stood at the top of the 3rd floor outside her bedroom, where the stairwell had a grand echo, one that made your voice sound bigger than you felt. And she sang. Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, whatever was alive in her heart, that particular Saturday. She sang at full volume with not a single care in the world. Just her voice and the echo and the pure, uncomplicated, slightly embarrassing joy of being entirely, completely, gloriously herself. She didn't have a list. There wasn't a voice asking what she had to show for herself. No one to perform for. Just a girl fully immersed in her own rhythm. I haven't thought about her in a long time. And sitting here telling you about her, I realize that's her. That's what unhurried actually feels like. Not as a concept or a framework to follow. It's a girl on the top floor singing into an echo with nowhere else to be. I lost her gradually, the way you lose most parts of yourself, not all at once or in one clean break, but in increments so small you don't notice until she's just gone. I remember the moment the losing accelerated. I was almost 13. A couple of days before my birthday, my dad called me to him in the back of the printing shop and asked me to recite the Gettysburg Address, a speech I had been memorizing at his request. He was sitting on a large, low table that held the folding machine for brochures. The year before, it was Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream. These were the things he believed a good student should know and should be able to present as evidence of their worth. I got about 3/4 of the way through, and then I couldn't find the next line. I remember the dread that moved through my body in that silence, the feeling of shrinking and crumbling from the inside out. I was silently begging, please, please let me find the words, please get me out of this moment. While knowing, somewhere below those thoughts, that I couldn't, that I wouldn't, that I already knew what was coming. He loved me. I want to say that plainly, because it's true and it matters. This story isn't about whether he had love for me. It's about what he didn't know. He didn't know that love doesn't require a performance. That a child who loses her place in the Gettysburg Address isn't failing. She's just a child, standing in front of her father, wanting so badly to be enough. He had learned in his own childhood in China, from his own father, that worth had to be demonstrated, proven, and produced. And so, without meaning to, he taught me the same. Not with words, but with something my body has never forgotten. That voice, what do you have to show for yourself, didn't come from nowhere. It was installed in the back of a printing shop during the week of my 13th birthday, burned into my nervous system at the level where words don't reach. I don't remember what happened after, whether he said anything, or whether I did. I just remember walking out of that room and feeling smaller than I had when I walked in. It's no surprise I lugged it into adulthood, into my mothering, into that kitchen, with the bottomless list and the kids playing thumb war, and the voice running beneath everything like a current I had stopped noticing, because I had never known anything else. And my daughter walked across that kitchen and gave back to me what that printing shop took. I think you have a moment like that too. I don't mean the moment you lost your original rhythm. Those are usually too tangled, too many threads at once to pull a single one free. But the moment before all that, the moment when you were still her, still in your own pace, fully alive in it, with nowhere else to be. Mine is a girl on the 3rd floor, singing into the echo of a stairwell. What is yours? Maybe it's younger than 13. Maybe it's the way you used to move through a Saturday morning before anyone needed anything from you. Maybe it's a song, or a game, or the feeling of lying in the grass and looking at clouds with absolutely no sense that you were supposed to be doing something else with your body. Find that moment. Stay in it for a few seconds. That is your native frequency, a memory your body already holds. The work, all of it, everything we do here, is the path back to her. And here's what I know about you, even though I don't know your name, or your kitchen, or the particular shape of the voice that lives in your head. You didn't get here by being a perfect mother. You got here by coming back, by letting your child lead you through a breath on an ordinary afternoon and actually following her, by sitting down on the couch when every cell in your body wanted to get back up. That's not nothing. That's literally everything. Before the to-do lists and the guilt and the belief that pushing equals worth. Before someone else's urgency became your urgency, you had a native frequency. You still do. It didn't leave. It got buried under years of conditioning and comparison and the relentless message that you are only as valuable as what you can point to at the end of the day. But it's still in there. I know that because my daughter found it in me. In 30 seconds, with a breath and that look of, I know you're in there. She found it. This work that you're doing, the noticing, the returning, the slow and sometimes excruciating reclaiming of your own pace, is not you building something from scratch. It's you excavating something original, something that was yours before anyone told you otherwise. And what you're also doing, maybe without fully realizing it, is keeping that rhythm alive in your child. It's not by never snapping or making a list or letting the urgency bleed into your voice, but by doing the work, by letting yourself be found the way I let my child find me that afternoon. You are protecting something in them that the world will spend years trying to overwrite. Every time you return to yourself, you show them it's possible. You are the reason they still know how. I want to leave you with some food for thought this week. I don't have a practice with steps or a framework for you to implement. It's just this. Find your third floor moment. The moment before the voice arrived. The moment when you were just you. When you were alive in your own rhythm with not a single care in the world. It doesn't have to be dramatic or a stairwell with a particular kind of echo. It just has to be real. A moment your body recognizes the second you return to it. Like coming home to a house you didn't know you missed. I want you to stay there for 10 seconds. Feel what it felt like to be her. That feeling is not a memory in your head. It's a precious map back to you. Maybe you already know exactly where it leads. Maybe there's a flicker of it somewhere in your week right now. A moment when something in you exhales and you think, yes, this is actually me. Or maybe it's been so long you're not sure what it sounds like anymore. Not sure you'd recognize it even if it showed up. Either way, it's in there. My daughter found it in me. She walked up, took my arms, looked straight through the rushing and the proving and the noise, And she found me without even trying, because finding me wasn't something she had to try to do. She just knew where to look. Your child knows too. They've been watching you underneath all of it, underneath the list and the noise. The version of you who used to sing into an echo on a Saturday afternoon with nowhere else to be. That version of you, she's been there the whole time, waiting for you to come back. Next week, I want to talk about where the voice comes from and how you possibly inherited it. The homes we grew up in taught us what to do with our feelings long before we had words for them. And until we name that blueprint, really name it, look it in the face, we keep replaying it, no matter how fiercely we aim to do things differently. And what it means to end a cycle without humiliating the person who taught it. If something in this episode felt like a remembering for you, please share it. I ask you to send it to the woman in your life who has forgotten she's allowed to sing on the 3rd floor. For weekly show notes and free meditations, subscribe on Substack. The link is in the episode description. And until next time, your kids already know you're in there.